I went to university in 1972 and discovered Beckett the second I arrived there, really. The next 4 or 5 years of my life were sort of defined by that discovery in some ways. I became obsessed with the writing, the manner of the writing, with the life, with the romance, really. It's the mixture of austerity and romance, which I think is at the heart of him. It's like Bach for me. The two big discoveries of my young adulthood were Bach and Beckett. And cut. Good. Now, one more. Now, the great thing about movies is that the method of constructing film is by repetition, is by takes. It's by taking an element and doing it again and again and again until you've got it right, which is in a sense what these characters are doing. They're in urns trying to do it again and again and again until they think they've got it right and they can move on. And so there might be a way on film of suggesting multiple occasions of the text without there being more than 2 repetitions, if you understand what I mean. It means that you can actually, in the interior of the text, by breaking the text up into various takes, it becomes palimpsestic, so that each version is filmed over the other one. So I'm hoping that the experience of watching the film will not just be a sense of the text twice, but of 1,000 times of the text.
I had him dogged for months by a first-rate man. No shadow of proof was forthcoming. There was no denying that he continued as assiduous as ever. This and his horror of the merely platonic thing made me sometimes wonder if I were not accusing him unjustly. Yes.
What have you to complain of? I said, have I been neglected? I have a letter that was given to me by a friend who knew Samuel Beckett, and he wrote to her about having attended some rehearsals, or a copy of the letter. And he'd been to some rehearsals. He wasn't that happy because he said, in the letter, I don't suppose they'll ever get the voice right. He said it should have an ashen, abstract quality, and those are his words after the hours it takes to decipher the handwriting. But ashen and abstract, I suppose, are 2 qualities that are very difficult to produce on stage because they'd be inaudible. And so in many ways that's why I think it's great that these works are being put on film, and I'm sure actually Beckett would agree and be happy too, because he's getting a vocal quality, hopefully, that's the one that's in his head. I get the impression that sometimes theatre frustrated him as much as it excited him, because as he became kind of purer and purer and purer, it's almost like an installation or performance art or something.
If you were to play W2 on stage, how would the performance differ from the one you're giving on screen today?
If I was playing it on stage, well, I don't know. I haven't thought about that at all. I think it would possibly be quite a lot more difficult. I think there might be an advantage in having the beam of light, the sort of theatrical idea that you couldn't do on screen, but the notion of a beam of light, a single spot, kind of scorching across the stage and picking people out. That would help in the sense of these sort of souls who are dormant in their urns but are woken up by this interrogating creature. But all the problems that you encounter as an actor are problems which the characters are encountering. They are sick to death of being in those pots. They are probably exhausted, longing for it to stop. So everything you can use. In fact, by the end of yesterday, I was very, very tired, and I think some of the best work happened then. Fearing she was about to offer me violence, I rang for Erskine and had her shown out her parting words as he could testify if he is still living and has not forgotten, coming and going on the earth, letting people in, showing people out, what had the effect that she would settle my hash. I confess it did alarm me a little at the time.
Great writing. It's not meant to be a palliative. This was happening to the world what we live in. More and more palliatives, shorter and shorter attention spans, and the tragedy is, of course, that we're going to have a culture that's less and less able to respond to Beckett or Shakespeare or whatever at all, because they won't have a way in. They won't know that you actually have to do a bit of work as a member of the audience, and you've got to make a gift of yourself in the audience to the piece of work. It's not going to just come and stroke you.
There's a certain amount of truth in the fact that his writing is a cul-de-sac in some ways. It annihilates theatre, it annihilates the novel, it annihilates fiction. It's a sort of dialectical writing. It's sort of fighting fiction all the time, fighting the shape of fiction, aspiring to science, aspiring to maths, aspiring to anything other than the art of fiction. By the same token, in its annihilation of it, there's also an enormous sanctifying of it. There's an enormous endorsing of it. And so I would say that in terms of simple, the map that he was making, I think it takes you nowhere. but the rigor with which he made the map, the beauty of the map is incredibly important. So, you're asking a disciple. I have to say that the most important dramatist of the 20th century.
Mere eye, no mind, opening and shutting on me. Am I as much